These are the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. Welcome to TRS Clips. Make sure you hit that bell icon and don't forget to subscribe. If you could gauge back to the younger version of yourself, like the late 20s guy, his mindset, what would you have changed to just have things pan out differently? For example, for me, when I look back at failed relationships, earlier I used to just blame the girl that it's her fault, this, that. Eventually, as I grew up, I realized, no, that's not true. Obviously, it's not true.
Yeah,
it takes two hands to clap, etc., etc. When you go a little bit deeper into that, obviously, it's not true. What's your end of the bargain? Because you always think you're the good boyfriend. Many Indian guys are like that. We're taught to be loyal. We've also grown up seeing Shah Rukh Khan movies, dude. We visualize ourselves as Shah Rukh Khan when girls visualize that they want a Shah Rukh Khan.
That's right.
So we have good intent, but somewhere as Indian guys, we don't have a good EQ. That's what I feel. Like,
I completely agree.
Like a lot of Indian girls, especially, and this is just my experience, and I might be wrong, and correct me if you have had a different experience. Many Indian girls, sometimes you have to guess what they want from you in relationships. And that's why Indian guys f*** up.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Like 100%. Absolutely. That's my experience as well.
Yeah, and I've had breakups because of that. Dude, like a girl just goes away and I'm like, what happened? And she's like, no, you didn't pick up the cues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know
No,
that.
and then if you pick up the cues, if they tell you, then but I told you to do this, so it no longer counts.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you're double screwed. So yeah, I think that's the story through.
Dude, I have become a master at like reading girls. In terms of who I'm dating.
Maybe that's the next episode where you interview yourself and talk about how to date girls.
That's all my past episodes. I went through a whole content tangent there. Out of all the mistakes I made in my own relationships. No, but for real, what was your gauge of what you could have done differently, man? And I'm also asking the finance professional in you because there's this movie called American Sniper I saw. It's got Bradley Cooper.
That's right.
And the movie's about war and this top quality sniper rifle soldier, like a guy who handles a sniper.
Yeah.
But the actual messaging of the movie is that every man, because we don't know how to deal with our own emotions, we look at our professional life and our personal life in two very different lights. Even Tamasha talks about this in some ways.
Right.
The Ranveer Kapoor movie. Guys up creatures in their own way, dude. I'm sure we have it easier than women in many ways, but there are some things very up about being a guy, which we don't speak about. And that's why you see that they say that 3/4 of all suicides are committed by men. There must be some reason for that, dude.
Yeah.
We don't understand our own minds.
Yeah.
So what was that for you, like when you gauge back?
Lots of things, for sure. I'm just trying to maybe pick a couple of ones that I think one is the first one that comes to mind actually is that in that situation, I think I went deeper into work. Okay. And I started investing more time actually working, which was exactly the opposite of what is healthy.
Like that was your response to
That was my response to that situation, right? To say, okay, I'm just going to, because I don't know how to deal with this, I know how to do my work. Okay, so let me just do more work. Okay, because it felt easier, it felt familiar to handle with, and hence that's what one of the things that I think I did, and definitely a mistake, right? I think what you need to actually do is to take the personal life that's not going well heads on, and you need to solve for it. And I think that's been one of my biggest learnings in the relationship now, to say you can't ignore what's happening in your personal life and just go into comfort zone, right? Whether it is, you'll disappear to have a drink with your friends, or you'll just go and watch a movie. You can't wish it away, right? It keeps building up and you need to solve for it. I think so. That to me was I wish I could go back and do that. The outcome may still have been the same, right? But at least I would have dealt with it the right way.
Well, this is useful fucking advice, man. Like this is honestly, when we speak about life MBAs, young people need to know this shit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go through it yourself and then whatever. Don't learn from.
The funny thing is that, and you'll see many entrepreneurs also do the same mistake. I think sometimes you just need to go through it yourself, right? I hope no one does. But I think some life lessons cannot be taught.
What's the good that your divorce did for you?
I think it helped me discover a little bit more about myself. Emotionally, for sure. But also just be able to, I got married when I was fairly young, and you don't know, but you don't realize it, but you don't know much about yourself, right? About men having low EQ, it's because we predominantly spend time with our parents, and then a lot of us don't necessarily go to hostel, right? It's rare, and then we get married. Okay, so the ability to spend time alone and really discover yourself in a situation which you are uncomfortable with is where true discovery happens. Okay, so for me, I was for the first time really outside my comfort zone. Okay, uh, in a place where not everyone could relate to.
How do you actually pull yourself out of that, dude? And wo bhi, you know, what I honestly feel is when you're in your mid-20s or late 20s, you have a certain amount of fire that can help you kind of launch out of any situation.
That's
But
true.
I'm curious about the 30s because I'm going to turn 29 this year, dude. And I've seen that gradual drop in energy from 22 to 29. It's very gradual. It's almost not noticeable, but it's there.
It is totally there.
So,
Yeah, like I know you work out, and you know, when I was 20, I used to, you know, you don't sleep for a few days. It's okay. You've had a little bit too much to drink. It's okay. You go to the gym for 2 days and you're sorted, right? It no longer happens in 30s, right? I'm like, oh shit, I need to put in much more work. I need to be much more conscious. So it definitely happens. I was listening to your this video done before you met Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I heard about how you came out of that phase of your life. I think for me, it was about discovering certain people around me, right, who really helped me get through it. One of them obviously was my wife, and I think that really helped me. I was obviously also going through a journey professionally with building a company, and having that as a area where I could spend more energy, very productively into building something was another huge enabler.
you channelized all of it, all the emotion into like the business.
That's right. Channelize a lot of that energy into that business. A business is like a child, right? It requires so much nurturing, and if you can give it, it can take a lot. It can absorb a lot of your time and energy, but it can also give back a lot of very important life lessons. And I was at very early stages of building that business, and I think that served a huge purpose in my personal life.
I have respect for you, bro. Honestly, like to bounce back from something like this, you hear a lot of people kind of playing victim and just staying where they are.
Sure.
Fact that you built out multiple companies after that, it's honestly inspirational, man.
Thanks,
and we're like in a generation where a lot of people think that 29 is too late to do shit. Which is such a wrong narrative
It's
to
totally
have,
wrong.
dude. It's another rude question for you, but I'm just trying to dive a little deeper because there are life lessons here, man.
Sure.
You feel you're healed completely now? Because I'm sure you're over the breakup, etc., etc. But sometimes trauma is one of those things that just stays in men's heads.
Yeah.
So while you've seen professional success, do you think you're completely healed?
I would say so, actually. And maybe, to your previous question, the last thing to add is I actually did a lot of therapy, a lot of professional therapy to deal with that phase of my life. Because once again, it's not a simple event. Right? There are so many complications and linkages, family linkages, and how you react to it and how the other person reacts to it. And those need professional guidance to go through. I took counseling for many years to help me deal with that phase of my life, and that really made things. And I feel I've healed. Right. Once again, this is one thing that people don't talk about. Right. Where do we talk about having to go to a counselor? But I strongly recommend it to a lot of my colleagues. We have a coach in the company that helps us deal with certain situations because we're dealing with a high stress environment, and I think that's really important for people who go through it. Otherwise, we live with that burden.
What's therapy like, dude? Like, I've gone through it. Just what was your experience?
So I'd actually tried different types of therapies. Maybe not to go into the form of therapy, but I think that the therapy is, if I were to simplify it, it's a way of asking and answering certain questions for yourself. No one can answer them for you, right? But it's a way of, whatever the technique is, it's a way of sort of getting those question answers and achieving a level of clarity which you can't unless you're in that environment.